When an airplane goes down, there is a thorough investigation of the crash site to determine what happened so future flights can be safer. In the investigation, nothing is more valuable than finding the black box, which is a device that records over 80 different factors related to the flight, like speed, direction, altitude, fuel, and many others, including the pilot's conversations. This information is critical in helping investigators figure out what exactly caused the crash so future crashes can be avoided. In the same way, after a relapse, you also must do a crash analysis so that you can avoid future relapses. Doing a crash analysis is how you can turn a failure into future victories. Dr. Ted Roberts developed a crash analysis document to help people determine the key factors involved in their sexual relapse. You can find this helpful tool in the resource section. Those who are serious about recovery take the time to walk through the crash analysis after a relapse and send it to their accountability partner. Another person can sometimes see things that you don't that can help you determine the cause of a crash and the needed adjustments moving forward. The crash analysis has key questions to help you determine if there were specific fantasies, routines, decisions, triggers, or emotions that led to your relapse. Through analyzing the crash, patterns begin to emerge that help you determine the contributing factors that you can address with boundaries or other adjustments. You may discover that certain media regularly set you up for a relapse. It could be that stress is a common factor in your relapses, while someone else's pattern may be the fact that he hasn't been spending time with God or in His Word. The crash analysis should be done as soon as possible after a relapse so you can remember the details more clearly. The crash analysis also helps you answer questions that expose faulty thinking or rationalizations. Questions like, what were key decisions that led to you being triggered? Maybe it was making out with your girlfriend, or a Netflix binge on movies with sexual content, or not checking in with your accountability. Other questions you also answer are, what kept you from reaching out for help in the midst of your temptation? And what rationalization did you use for acting out? All of these questions help you effectively answer the final question. What will you do differently to avoid relapse if you find yourself in the same position in the future? The crash analysis will help you determine what you can do not to put yourself in a tempting situation, and when you are in a tempting situation, what you can do to escape it. Jesus taught us to pray, "Lead me not into temptation." This means we should live in a way to avoid tempting situations. The example we see over and over in the Bible is that we are to flee temptation. The Bible tells us of Joseph, who, when he was invited to bed by his boss's wife, he literally ran out the door. Fleeing temptation is held up as the response that we are commanded to have. We are commanded to flee from sexual immorality. Now flee from youthful lust. God doesn't give us a suggestion, but a command to flee. Jesus commands us to get radical about cutting temptation from our life. When we put all this together, the Bible says our response to temptation should be to radically cut off the source of temptation, pray we don't face temptation, and when we do face it, flee. The guys I see that struggle the most are the ones who give themselves way too much credit in what they can handle. Instead of fleeing temptation, they flirt with it. If they get away with flirting with temptation once, they think they can handle it, but they can't. We must flee. The crash analysis helps you see where you are flirting with temptation instead of fleeing it. It helps you determine what steps you need to take going forward to get radical with the temptations in your life. It will also help you identify and close access points to triggers. Another thing the crash analysis will help you evaluate is your own heart. It will become clear to your accountability if you are just going through the motions or if you are diligently learning from the crash and applying what you learn. If you identify triggers but only make half-hearted efforts to avoid them, it may indicate that your heart isn't fully engaged in recovery. If this is you, ask God to give you a heart that is fully committed to walking in freedom, because you have no chance of lasting freedom without it. A setback is a reminder that you need God and others to win this battle. This should motivate you to learn all you can from a relapse and make adjustments where needed. If and when you relapse, be diligent to analyze the crash because God will have much to show you through the process.